Welcome to this edition of the Beacon of Light podcast. Now, you see Debbie. Debbie, you have no idea what I'm about to say to you. Now, let me ask you something. My favorite movie is probably going to be Tombstone.
Oh, wow.
I like it. The Val Kilmer one?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I can watch that movie over and over and over, right? It's a fun movie to watch for me. The story that you're about to share, I've heard, and it never gets old. That's why I brought that up.
Yeah.
Right? But I want to do something a little bit different. And by the way, let me just set this up real quick. Debbie is patient number one. She's the very first patient, and she's also the very first graduate at Beecon Recovery. Right? Okay. But we're going to go back a little bit. Okay. This is the part that you don't know, and I hope you're okay with this because you have no idea what I'm about to say.
No,
I think
I don't.
over in Podcastville, you're supposed to set people up. We're flying by the seat of our pants.
Okay.
Because we've always talked about, and we're going to get to there, but let's go back to why did Debbie do meth for
23 years.
Why did Debbie do meth for 20? What started Debbie's meth career? What happened? We might go back to 12, or I don't even know. What is it that you first,
I didn't start using until I was 24 years old. I didn't grow up around drugs. That wasn't something, wasn't something that was in my family. That wasn't my life. But I just
good childhood.
I guess that could have played a little bit of a part in it. Mostly, it was the friends that I was hanging out with. I didn't realize that so many of them were into the not just using but dealing. I really had a lot of friends that were really deep into the drug world. And one day I was introduced to that, and
at a party
I started using. Yeah.
So one day you were introduced to it versus several times you were introduced to it, and you said, "No, that's not for me."
Yeah.
Was it like that, or just one day you were with some friends?
One day, a friend of mine said, "It's time for you to know what's going on around you," and he said, "I won't always be here to protect you from this." And he took me and showed me this closet full of drugs. It was just the most wild, crazy thing. I remember crying and being upset, and I didn't understand. I'm like, "What are you why are you showing me all this?" And literally, his words to me were, "I won't always be here to protect you from this." And he died a few months later.
After he was kind enough to get you hooked on or introduced to meth.
I wouldn't say he got me hooked on it. It was after the fact that, everybody that I was hanging out with, you know what I mean? It was kind of kept hidden from me, when he was alive. And then after he died, it just started to become, people were letting me see what was going on and all, you know what I mean? So eventually I was just starting to be involved in it. And then started using.
Okay, so now we're going to go to you may have shared this part of your story with me. You probably did, right? But now we're going to go to what I was talking to. Your ears might have been ringing because I was talking to somebody about a part of your journey after the fact. And I guess we can jump around here, but I just think I don't know. We can say it's kind of funny now. It's not funny then, but it's the part of your story where your family members, your friends, are coming to you and saying, Easter 20 whatever, yep, was high then, Christmas party, they bring up times of your life, right? And say, and you're like, yep.
My sister-in-law she said, "Were you high at my wedding? Were you high at mine and Daniel's wedding?" And I said, I remember where I parked on the street And I remember leaning down in my car right before I went into their wedding, literally hunched down in my car, getting high before I walked into their wedding.
And they had
no idea.
So let's just pause for a sec, right? Because when we're looking at the addict, okay, we don't think about what you just said.
Right.
We, right, when I say we, I'm talking about society, you that might be watching this, a mother or a husband, whatever, somebody that doesn't actively use drugs, you're thinking, right, that it's some seedy motel someplace, that it's, maybe some rundown house. I've used this depiction before. You've probably seen the scene that I'm about to describe, where there's somebody, I don't know why, but I always got to have water dripping over in that sink. Don't ask me why, but it's not it's dirty, right?
Yes.
And there's maybe somebody passed out on that couch. Maybe there's somebody that's about to be, or just got through getting raped. Something not good. Or maybe some guy pawning off his wife's jewelry, or breaking into someplace to get money to feed. This is what we think about. But what I tell people is it's not always like that. These are good people.
Yeah.
Right?
Yes.
You lived that for 23 years.
I did.
Now, you also carried your toothbrush and your toothpaste.
I did.
Describe that for me. Why?
When my friend talked to me about
your friend.
When he first
your friend of me.
Yeah. The guy that first told me what was going on around me.
Closet guy.
Yes. He actually drove me around and showed me different places, and it's okay, so-and-so, this is where they used to live. This is what they used to have, and this is where they are now, in a trailer park or homeless, or he told me to never smoke it because I'd lose my teeth and I'd look like this person or that person. Like, there was all these things that he was like, if you're going to do this,
do it right.
You have to hydrate. You have to force yourself to eat. Don't smoke it, which eventually I did. But I was so paranoid because I knew so many people that their teeth were just, mostly missing or rotten or whatever. I was so paranoid about my teeth. I literally would, anywhere I was, after I'd get high, I would go in someone's bathroom and go in there and start flossing and
immediately
and brush my teeth and have my little bottle of Listerine in my purse and mouthwash.
This was like, if you missed your teeth brushing, it was a rarity, because I'm getting the feeling that this was like a regular thing.
It was a regular thing, yeah.
And you're working.
Oh, yes. Mm-hmm.
Going to work, day in, day out.
I got a job at a jewelry store, with thousands and hundreds of thousands of dollars of jewelry, Wow. I mean, it just, I have a lot of different jobs. I've had way too many jobs, obviously, you know. But I've done a lot of things.
And just for everybody, are you still working at the same place you were working at the last time we spoke?
Yes.
So just so everybody understands, she's kind of a badass, this one.
Thank you.
Don't tell me where you work, but tell me what you do right now.
Right now, I am trained to be a backup yard driver. So now I back up 52-foot trailers.
Talking about.
And I'm also an unloader and receiver at my job.
So you're on one of them forklifts where you're standing up.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
And a truck pulls in, right? You get on this thing with the forks.
Driving
it around, go do this, and make sure that it goes where it's supposed to be.
Yeah, and I have to count it all, tag it all.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But now, when you get bored with that, you go out of the yard and do another device that moves the empty trailers around and make sure that
Yes.
they're in the right spots.
Yes, I decided about 6 months ago. I'm like, I think I want to go
Ready
out and
to
see if I can
expand.
do this, and I can. I'm pretty good at it.
Okay. And once again, I said we were going to bounce around.
Yeah.
Are you wearing a watch?
I am not wearing a watch.
Okay, good, because I have no idea what time we started. We're just going to
I have no
fly by the
idea
seat of our
either.
pants. Okay. So, not your typical podcast. I mean, I'm still learning. But now we're going to go back to your frenemy, this guy, right, who showed you the ins and outs. Because at some point, okay, so that day when he goes to the closet and shows you this wide array, of which meth was one of the things,
Yes.
right? Did he say, okay, which one's going to be good for you? Do you want to try heroin? Do you want to try? Because back then, I don't think that fentanyl was around back then, was it?
No,
That wasn't a thing?
no.
So you had probably what, marijuana, fentanyl, no fentanyl, but what was in the closet?
I honestly, the only thing that I recognized was weed. But there was bricks, literally bricks of weed. It was
Was
something
meth in
I've
there
never
at the
seen.
moment?
I remember there being baggies of, back then I don't think it was
Wait.
actually meth, but there was
Like,
round balls of what
wasn't
do they call
heroin?
it? Crank back then?
That's what I
No,
was going to say, crank.
I don't recall ever
So,
being-
but he tells you not to smoke it. He tells you to shoot it.
No. I never.
How are you
shot
supposed to
anything.
take it if you can't smoke
You
it?
snort it. You snort it. You don't. Yeah.
See, that shows you how much I know about. I thought your two choices were to smoke it or to shoot it.
No,
You can
no.
smoke it or snort it
I
like
snorted
Coke.
it for many, many, many years until eventually it started to just, it was too painful to actually do
Now,
it anymore.
okay, wait.
that's
Now I
when
want
I
to go
started
to a
smoking it.
place. To the very first time you snorted it. Did you say, "Where have I been all my life? This is it"? Did you say?
No,
Because
I
I've heard
was
this before.
terrified.
When you first, I'm not talking when you first, before you, I'm talking after, and you feel the effects of what it was. Because I've had people tell me, this is the greatest thing since sliced bread. But that's not what happened with you?
I remember just he gave me the smallest, thinnest little line that I snorted. And I remember the racing of my heart, and I remember not being able to fall asleep. And
not
I
being
remember-
hungry.
Right, just.
But did you,
But there
was it
there
good?
was a point. I don't know if I remember it. I don't know if I remember it that way. Honestly, I don't know.
I mean, was there a point where you're like, this is it?
I just remember.
I've discovered the fountain of
I
youth, or-
remember maybe after a couple of times, like that the energy. It was almost like just the party. We were just going nonstop. You could get up and just clean your house and run through this and do that. You know what I mean? It was like all of a sudden there was just almost no more downtime in your life. Just life just got turned on.
So when you stopped,
way.
did your house become a mess?
What's that? Did I what? Say that again.
Just being a smart ass, but it's a logical question. When you finally stopped after coming to Beecon Recovery, did your house become a pigsty?
I am very challenged. I just hit my 5 years on March 8th.
This is a high five.
Yes.
We're high-fiving.
I just hit
Yeah.
5 years of my sobriety on March 8th. And to this day,
Wait.
5 years, Tony. It's been 5 years now.
That's crazy.
Yes. Yes.
And by the way, I want you all to pay attention. I want you to pay attention to the light that's coming off of her.
You're going to make me cry.
It wasn't like that in the beginning. Remember that time? Okay, we're gonna. So in an outpatient, you're only supposed to be here for a certain period of time. Remember this?
I do.
Tell me about that. You know what I'm talking about?
Come.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Why? Tell me.
There were days that I would get up to.
Oh, that's because he was
People-
off hunting, I think, right?
Yes. And
Her husband was hunting.
yes. And I didn't. it was terrifying to be alone.
At
It
home.
was terrifying, And there were days I was supposed to get up and go to work, and you would email my HR lady and say, "Oh, Deborah needs to be here today," and I would just stay with you all day long.
All day.
Yeah.
Because you chose, and there it is.
Yeah.
Is it a choice? It's a choice. I say it's a choice.
Yes, it's a
People
choice.
say if somebody's addicted that they don't have a choice, and I'm going to say that's bullshit. It's always a choice.
Yeah.
Right?
Yes.
Was there ever a time when you were doing an active, at some point in your drug career, where you would say to yourself, I shouldn't do this,
Oh, yeah.
right?
There was-
While you're doing it, I shouldn't be doing this. I shouldn't be going to make arrangements to go get whatever it is I'm going to, because eventually you're going to run out and you've got to go resupply yourself.
Yeah.
And you're saying, you know what, I shouldn't do this. While you're actually snorting it, shooting it, whatever it is you're doing, you're saying, why the am I doing this? Sound about right?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, there's lots of times you get kind of in a depression, you feel the darkness over you, and you're like, okay, I'm not going to do any more after this. This is it. This is it.
This is the last time.
And then of course, you didn't do it for a day or two because then you'd sleep, and then just to get up and be able to function, you would find yourself going getting more. It's when you spend that many years doing something every day,
Yeah.
and eventually that whole, just getting up and having fun, that kind of fades away, and eventually it's just
part of your routine.
It's just part of your routine. It's just what you do.
And that's just, okay, so now, we're going to go back to closet. We'll call him Closet Guy,
Okay.
right? You're not with your man at this moment.
Oh, no. That was a long time ago.
Yeah. This was long before the love of your life. Okay? Then you meet this guy, the love of your life. He has no idea that you're using, does he?
He knew. We dated when we were about 20, but before I ever got into my addiction, we had dated.
Oh, I didn't know
So I've
that.
known him since I
minute.
was about 20,
Yeah,
19, 20 years old.
Which is about 6 years ago. Okay.
And
So you meet him.
And we've kept in touch throughout the years here and there. And he knew that I had an issue with it, some years back. And
But-
when we started dating, he point blank said, "Hey, are you still,
Yeah.
into that? Are you?"
And
still
you're
with
like,
that?"
of course not.
Of course not.
What are you talking? No.
No.
Yeah.
I've been done
And of
with
course-
that. Yeah, I've been done with that.
Yeah,
for a while.
but by this time though, you're kind of a pro at concealing your stuff.
Oh yeah.
So there's no way he's going to find out because you're good at your trade now. You've been doing it long enough to where you're
Yes.
like, I can pull this off. I can look at you and lie right through my teeth.
Totally did.
That so many people that with addiction, and I don't like to use the word addict. It just bugs me. I'd rather say people with addictions because addict just seems kind of, I don't know, derogatory.
Yeah.
So you are knee deep in your addiction.
Oh yes.
And you guys decide, let's give this relationship thing a go.
Yeah.
He
I
says,
went
pretty much from Jump Street, which is the beginning, if you're in the middle of that, there's none of this. And you're like, don't worry, hon. So off we go. And at some point, as you just mentioned, you move in. Now you're living in his home.
Yes.
Which is now your home, but
Yes.
back then it was his home. And you're like, okay, I got the man of my dreams. And I'm lying through my teeth. Did you feel guilty?
in all honesty, I don't even think it crossed my mind.
That you're not telling him the truth?
Yeah. It was just such a part of what I did every day. You don't think about it, I
Hold
guess.
on. How many years how many years of your career were you in when this happens? Where he says, hey, let's give this relationship thing a go, pack your bags, you're coming with me. How many years had you been using?
Oh gosh, 15. I've already
wow.
because we've been together about 7 years now.
Okay, so you're in the middle of your and I call it a drug career because that's kind of what it is. Because you're always figuring out a way, I think, if I remember my old days, you're always networking.
Yes.
Okay, I'm getting towards the end of my stash, right?
Yeah.
And sort of like me, I take I take heartburn pills, right? Probably should eat better, but that's a conversation for another day, right? But on my heartburn pill thing, when I'm getting low, I have to make arrangements because I don't want to run out and have to go spend a ton of money on Pridosec or whatever that, you know what I mean?
Yes.
Exactly the same. Okay, I have this much to, there was probably some times where you're like, I'll make this stretch because I don't know when I'm going to get my next batch.
Well, so he wouldn't know. I would pretend like I was going to work, and then I would just, because he would leave the house about a half an hour after I did, so I would just call into work on my way to work, call in that I was going to be late, and then I would just go drive down the street and wait till he left, and then go home, and then wait until it was time that I could go pick some more up so I could get high. Then I would go to work. So,
High?
Yeah. I didn't go anywhere without being high. I mean...
Wait. Hold on a sec.
I literally live, 4 or 5 minutes away from where I work, and I would literally get high all the way to, those minutes to work. I would leave every lunch break and drive out in the middle of nowhere and get high and then come back. And then eventually on our third break, eventually I started leaving on my last break also.
I've never done meth, right? Thank goodness,
Yeah.
right? But everything I've heard about meth is you are up for days and days and days. That wasn't the case with you? Because I'm thinking if you're living with somebody and are you like listening to him sleep while you're like staring at the ceiling?
We would lay down to go to bed, and then, once he would go to sleep, I would get up, and just tiptoe through the house and whatever.
I didn't know that part.
Oh, I did. Yeah. And I'd go and get it ready so that when I got up in the morning, I could lock myself in the bathroom.
When you get up in the morning, you mean when you crawl back into bed and make him think you were sleeping? Oh, yeah. Act like you... So is that what you would do? You'd go all night and then...
Well, I don't know about the whole night, but I would definitely, because I wouldn't be ready to go to sleep when he was ready to go to sleep, even though it was...
Yeah, but you couldn't because you've been doing meth all day.
I would lay down and
then wait for him to go to sleep and then get up. I'm just kind of thinking that, okay, he gets up at 5:30, go crawl back in bed at 5. When the alarm goes off, then you... Did you sleep? I slept great. Did you sleep good?
Well, I mean, so I always had to get up before him because I start work before he did. So,
So you eventually would meander back into the bedroom to go to sleep.
Oh, yeah.
Did you sleep good when you would?
Oh, no. I don't think you ever sleep good. Sometimes it's not that you're even sleeping, you just lay down to just rest. But it depended on, it also depended on the meth. It also depended on
the quality of the meth?
The quality of it, I mean, there were years ago, that you could do the smallest amount and you could be up for 2 or 3 days.
You're good, yeah.
Yeah.
But then people start stepping on it.
And then eventually it started changing and it was cut with this and cut with that.
And by the way, that's what stepping on it means. For those of you that don't know what stepping on it means, that means taking a very high quality, very potent dose, right? And you as a meth dealer would know this is a dose that's good stuff. I know what I can do. Maybe I can add some baking soda.
I wasn't a dealer, but the dealer, whoever was, people
would then step on it to get more bang for their buck, not giving 2 shits about you, right?
Yes.
So then you would also have certain people. We're just going to have, this is not a conversation that we haven't had, but you'd say, look, the last time I got some stuff from you, it wasn't good. Don't do that to me again. I'm your best customer. You know what I mean? You would probably have those conversations with people.
Yeah.
Right?
Oh yes. Oh yeah.
So what?
I actually had somebody come over to my house once that, pulled a baggie out of this, and they all looked the same to me.
But he says
they were all different. And the first one that he gave me, the potency of it was so overwhelming that it literally, it made me just throw up. It was so, and I just said, oh my God, I'm like, not that one, not that, I can't.
Let's go to bag 2 or bag 3.
Like, he's
give me a couple notches down.
And I said, no,
because that one was more expensive. Wait. Was he letting you test it try before you buy?
Oh yeah. Oh, yeah.
I don't know how this works.
I mean, there's stages throughout all those years of people that you know, and this wasn't somebody this was a friend of mine's boyfriend, that barely spoke any English. And, just out of the blue, they would be gone. You wouldn't see them for months sometimes, and out of the blue they just show up and be like, hey, we got this. Here,
And you're like, funny you should show up right now, because I was
good friends with the people that they were acquainted with. That I got stuff just given to me for $20.
Did you just say the word shit? You did.
Yeah, they call it give me my shit. I need some shit.
So if I think it's it sounds better when it comes out of your mouth. When I say shit, it's different when you say it, because she doesn't cuss very much. So I got a cuss jar in my office someplace. If I remember right, you didn't pay for it very often either.
For a long time, years, and when I did, it was.
And how did you manage that? Just because people
eventually, after I didn't know any of those. Well, not say that I didn't know them, but those people weren't around. Eventually, they're gone. And you're making new acquaintances, going to new places, and
they're not gonna, because they're not friends of yours. These are and the reason I went down this road is because this is a world that most people have absolutely no idea about at all. This aspect, and once again, we think of that dark, dismal, and it might have been dark and dismal at certain points, but for the most part, this was like, your job, really. Now I want to fast forward to, I don't know if it's one day, I don't know if it's, it takes a series of days and or weeks where you, at some point you're like, you know what, I'm done. I'm not doing this anymore. Oh, it might have been when you got caught.
It was when I got caught.
It was when you got caught. Let's talk about that. How? Yes. Who caught you?
Jason did. Yeah.
Your husband?
Yeah. Yes.
How did he catch? Let's go through that one.
So, I remember there was some days where he'd look at my eyes and he'd be like, why do your eyes look like that? What are you doing?
Allergies, babe.
He
allergies.
Started questioning things, and he eventually knew that something was.
But he couldn't prove it.
And so he's not going to accuse you of anything until he knows exactly what's going on. He just waited. And one morning I had left it in the bathroom. I was up getting ready for work, and I
slipped up.
I don't know. I don't know if I left it in my robe pocket or if I just left it on the bathroom counter or I dropped it. But I slipped and I left it in the bathroom. And I was always, I'd always get in my car and leave to go to work and start getting high, As soon as I'd get out of the driveway, I'd start smoking it.
But this day you're like, oh crap.
So I start smoking it, and I get to work, and I'm gonna put my pipe and I put my little baggie in a certain place in my car, and I don't have the baggie, and I'm like, oh,
your heart,
shit.
yeah.
So of course I have to call into work and say, oh, I'm going to be late,
and race back.
I'm still at work. No, I'm still at work, like just searching my car and searching my purse and like, what the hell,
And you're freaking out.
And so I wait until he leaves the house, because I'm like, his daughter lived at the house, and we had the dog, and I'm like, oh my God, I'm thinking to myself, like, what if I dropped it? What if the dog eats it? What if his daughter finds it? I'm like freaking out, because I can't find it anywhere. I'm like,
so you're not being very functional at work at the moment.
Yeah, I don't even go into work. I call in. I'm like, because there's no way I'm going to go in until I find it.
You got to get to the.
I have to find it. So I waited for him to leave the house. Went back in, and I'm searching the bathroom. I'm searching my robe. I'm looking at, and I'm just like, it's gone. And then it just hit me.
He knows.
He knows. It just all of a sudden hit me, like the look that he gave me when I left to leave the house. He had already found it before I left the house.
Wait. I think it's coming back to me right now. If I remember right, it wasn't. I think it was him saying, "You ain't getting around my kids." Isn't that what it was? It was part of him, but I think the biggest issue for you was like, I can't be that.
Yes. That's it.
I remember that right. That's right?
Yes.
It was losing the kids.
So after, as soon as it just dawned on me, like, he has it, like this, I still couldn't go back to work until I knew for sure where it was, because I was terrified that his daughter would find it. I'm like, I can't let that happen.
Did you call him?
Oh yeah, I called him. And he was, the tone, and he was like, why the hell aren't you at work, And I'm like, did you find something That
had been such a hard call.
I had no choice. Like,
but it was a hard call
yes,
for you. I mean,
but
that had to been.
There was like, without knowing where it was, there's no way I could leave the house.
Everything stops.
Everything.
Sort of like when I lose my cell phone, but only worse.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
But yeah. And
yeah.
But I knew that, I'm like, the look he gave me, I just knew. And he says, yes. He says, and we're not talking about this right now, because he's like, you need to let me, he's like, we'll talk about this when I'm ready, like, you just like, get your ass back to work, and, we're not talking about this.
Wait till your dad comes home moment.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
It was terrifying.
Yeah.
And then
but that was a great day at work, wasn't it?
It was the most horrible day at work I've ever had. And then after I got out of work, I called my brother, one of my brothers, that I knew that I could really talk to and tell him what was going on, and because I was terrified to
I'm in trouble.
Yeah, and I don't even know what I'm going to do.
I might need a place to stay.
And the only thing my brother said to me was like, Deb, he knows, like, all you can do is tell the truth.
That's it.
He's like, and what he decides to do, that's out of your control.
Basically, you got to own it.
You have no other choice but to be honest.
So you go home, and he
was so upset. I mean, just the lies, the deceit.
Did he say to you,
from the moment,
how long has this been happening?
Yeah, I mean, I'm like, whole time.
Did you tell him the truth?
Oh yes. So it's been the whole time.
Oh, so we're out.
Yeah.
There's no.
Yeah.
I want you to describe the feeling that you had when he told you ain't getting around my kids.
Yes.
Tell me about that.
At first because he said, I don't even know. He's like, oh, I'm not living this way. There's no way. This isn't the way we're going to live. There's just no way.
You got to love that.
And he said, I don't know if I'll ever trust you again. I don't know if we stick this out, like, I don't know what's going to happen. But, you need to get some help.
I know what's not going to happen.
And you're not going to continue doing this here. And he said, if things don't work out between you and I, do not want you to be around my daughter. I want you to have no contact with her.
Describe that feeling.
Just
started
bawling, just sobbing. Her and I really...
How old was she then?
Let's see. So this was 5 years ago. So she's 24. She was 19 at the time.
And you're close.
We instantly became close. Yeah, we instantly became close. Her and I had become really good friends, and I just started to cry, and I was just like, oh my God, like, I know so many people in situations where, they're not allowed to see, they're not allowed to see their kids, or they're not allowed to see their grandkids, or, you know what I mean? And I had my first grandkid.
But that didn't mean anything for those people. It didn't take on the severity. When you hear about somebody else that can't see their kids, you're like, that's too bad for you. Now, when you're experiencing it, it's a whole different ball of wax, right?
I had always really done what I could, even though, what I could to try to make myself be presentable. Like if I had stayed up for too long, I wouldn't go anywhere. I wouldn't let people see me. If I had smoked some that was really potent or strong, like I would stay home. I would only go around, my friends that were using. I would stay away from my family.
Versus the regular person with addiction that
really
they didn't care where they would go. Yeah.
Hide it when I knew I had gone too far with it.
Well, because the regular meth addicted person, they don't really care, right?
I was really paranoid about what people saw of me.
Okay, so now you realize, and you tell him, okay, hon.
Well, the moment that he said that, first I just bawled, and I was just like, oh my God, like I can't believe this. But then it made me really angry at myself that's what I had let myself come to. Yeah, that, I'm the one that somebody's looking at me now saying, you can't have contact. And then I could see my son, with my grandkid, like,
you've seen
it. I'm like seeing like, oh my God, this is, eventually that's probably what's going to, you know what I mean? Like, I was just like, oh my God, this is me now. This is what I've become. And that's.
So, if I remember right, Beecon wasn't the first place you went.
It wasn't.
You went to I think
A couple of different
couple of
places.
different places, didn't you?
Yeah. One of the places I walked in and they gave me the paperwork to start filling out, and I just looked around and I said, this is...
Nah.
I mean, and there was saw some of the people coming in and out, and the plate, I don't know what it was. I just turned around and I said, can I take this with me and fill it out?
Knowing fully well that it's going to go in the trash.
I'm just going to go throw it away. I'm
Yeah.
I'll just take this with me and bring it back, and just, I remember calling my lady at HR because I had gone in and told on myself, finally, like, remember with my work, I literally just, I tried to not get high.
By the way, just so we know, where she works right now, the lady that does, is she still there? Mm-hmm. Yeah. The lady that does her, she's a good woman.
Oh, she is.
She really is. Just to really, so the policy they have where she works right now is if you come and tell us you have a problem, mm-hmm. we're going to assist you. And they actually gave you some pay while you were getting treatment. Mm-hmm. However, if you wreck that forklift and we give you a UA, you're done.
Oh, yeah.
Does that sound about right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So what we're going to talk about now is energy. Because you felt an energy when you walked into the place you just described. Describe the energy you felt when you walked into Beecon's door.
Oh my gosh. The moment I walked in, I just knew that this is where I was supposed to be. There's nothing else I can say. I walked in and the energy that was in here, that was it. I knew that this was where I was supposed to be. And it was.
And the interesting thing about that is, and you've let me know a couple of times, Tony, you guys got to make some changes. Remember?
Yes.
Right? Because when you came in, we were literally just...
You had just opened.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And and you also get to know the energy you're talking about. When God told me to do this, I said, no. Let's pick a plan B, because this one I'm not doing this, right? Because God's in charge of this, and we were still learning.
Yeah, there was just three of you. There was just three of you here.
There's a few more than three of us now.
Yes.
And so you just knew, because you could feel it.
I could feel it. Yes.
So for the person that's sitting at home right now, in that place that you once were, where I can't do this anymore, but I'm still doing it, okay? But I just can't do this. This being stop.
Yeah.
Right? 23 years,
yes.
That's a long time, Deb. I mean, what? Right? I'm not going to tell you that there's people out there that aren't addicted and stuck in their addiction, because there are people that are dying in their addictions, right?
Yes. Because
they don't have the gumption to say, I can do this. But they can, right?
Mm-hmm. Oh, they can. I didn't know how I was trying to just, tell Jason, I can stop, I can do this, and he's like, we'll see, but, I think I was just almost saying anything that I could to just, try to just make it so that, he just didn't kick me out and just.
Was that talked about?
Oh yeah. Yeah, there was all kinds of things talked about, but in my mind, I was like, okay, I can do this. I can, I'll quit. I will quit. I didn't want to throw away my relationship, but after just a few days, we were planning on going to Mesquite, and I still went. And we went down to go golfing, and I literally and I mean, I was
a wreck.
I mean, just trying to function and just get out of bed.
Oh my
I
gosh.
didn't even know I
I
was thankful because I have celiac disease. We had gone out to eat, and I got really contaminated from the food that I ate at this restaurant we had gone to, and it made me sick.
But you were already sick, though.
I was thankful that I could just stay in bed because I didn't know how to function. We come home and I tried to go to work every day, and there was one day I was at work one morning. It's like 6:00 in the morning, and I'm working, and I was an order filler at the time, and I was building the pallets, and it just physically and mentally, I couldn't take one more step and pick up one more box and put one more box on that pallet. I was done. Like, I could not function. I didn't know how to function. I didn't know how to go to work. I didn't know how to just clean the house. I didn't know how to do anything without
being high.
And I didn't leave work. I just left my pallet there, and I went and locked myself in the bathroom at work one morning. I just sat in the bathroom and I was crying, and I was like, I don't know what I'm going to do. Like, I just wanted to leave and go get high so bad.
But if you do.
And I knew I couldn't.
Yeah.
And I knew I couldn't. And finally I came out of the bathroom and I went up to the desk and I told somebody, I'm like, hey, can you let my bosses know that, I left my pallet. I need to talk to HR. I can't come back out and work until I talk to HR, which they don't come in till 8:00, So I'm just in the bathroom for, a couple of hours waiting for HR to come in, and just at war with myself, like, do I just leave? Okay, I'm just gonna leave. If I leave, I know I'm gonna go get high. I was just a wreck. But I physically I was done. Like, I couldn't go another day without something. I just couldn't. I couldn't do it. And then, of course, I went in and finally talked to HR, and and then I was like, never mind. I was terrified. I don't want to lose my job. I shouldn't be in here. Like, I'll just go back out to work. I didn't, I don't know. But one of the HR guys that I was talking to, I mean, if it wasn't for him, the way he talked to me and the things that he said to me was like, there's obviously something, you wouldn't be in here if there was something big that's going on with you, And he says, if you come to us, we can always help if you come to us. So if there's something that you need, we're here, let's do this. If this is what you need, if there's something you need, it's just obvious, I was just a mess. I was a mess. So, yeah.
But you made a choice.
I did. And I just spilled my guts.
It's that scene in the bathroom, that's a dark place.
Yeah.
Isn't it?
It was hard. Yeah.
But isn't life hard? This life isn't easy. And by the way, for the record, since you quit using meth, has your life mysteriously just gotten easy all of a sudden?
Well, my life's 1,000 times better, I'll tell you that.
It's not easy still. We still have challenges.
I mean, there's still challenges.
Yes.
Yeah, there are challenges.
Are you still doing the thing across town? Are you that person? I'm talking about.
So I have stepped down from being the president of the club, but I'm now the secretary for the group, one of the groups in the club.
Wait, I'm sorry. What club are we talking about?
Talking about Alcoholics Anonymous, AA.
You were the president.
I was the president.
It's like the big kahuna.
I was for the last couple of years. Myself, I was the president, and one of my brothers was the vice president, and now we've both stepped down. And it's good to get new ideas and new things, and so we both stepped down from those positions, and there's a couple other people that wanted to step into those, which has been great.
Because that's like a lot of responsibility to do that. Yeah.
But I chair a meeting every single Sunday at 10 a.m.
For the people that are listening, I want you to touch base on that, because we're about done. This has been a good one, but how important is it for somebody to do that? Now, of course, you came to Beecon Recovery. You got your life back, okay? But you go to a meeting, probably sometimes more than once in a week, at least once a week.
Yeah.
Right? And when does that stop for you?
Oh, I don't see that stopping.
I know. I had to ask.
Yes, I
Listen,
don't see that stopping.
I already knew, but the reason I'm asking is because it's important, right? Agreed?
It's very important.
It's
like
vital.
this podcast, it's those stories that you hear.
Yeah.
You know, it's
You feed off that.
you feed off of that, and other people, you know, to know that there's all these people, you know, that come in and out of there that share, you know, addiction might be different, you know, it's alcohol, drug, whatever it is, you know, you all have that same story and you can all relate.
I mean, it's the same
each
song,
other.
different verse.
Yes, and it's, you know, there's things that you hear that, you know, there's some people that come into there that, I mean, when I hear their stories, it's, you know, it's far worse, you know, than mine, you know. But if I can help anybody, you know, by what I have to say, which I know that that's the case, you know, there's so many things that I hear from other people that help me in mine.
Even now.
And if I can help someone in theirs, that's what it's all about. Yeah, I don't see that ever stopping.
Yeah, I know.
Doing these meetings.
So the moral of the story here, right, is several things. One, it's possible. It's very possible. It's actually very doable. Mm-hmm. I don't care how long you've been using whatever drug you've been using. I don't care what drug it is. It doesn't matter what you're addicted to. Okay? If you're listening to this and you think it's not possible,
oh, it's possible. It's possible. You know, some people have a bigger support group, some people don't. You know, I was so lucky to have so many supportive people, you know.
Can you do it alone?
Beacon. No, you can't do it alone.
So what you're saying is,
I mean, and that was that day in the bathroom. I was like, I can't do this anymore. I can't do it by myself. And that's where that all came from.
Look, is it possible for somebody to do it alone? Maybe.
It's probably possible.
Maybe. But I'm going to say, for me personally, I'm going to tell you, without support, right? Mm-hmm. You gotta you bringing the right support in. Mm-hmm. We're in the 90 percentiles. You're in the single digits by far and away of your success opportunities if you attempt to go it alone. So what we can say to somebody that's listening right now, if you don't want to come to Beacon, if you don't want to go to and we also know that there's a lot of facilities out there that, well, as you experienced before you came here, they're not.
Yeah.
But what we can say is go find yourself an NA or an AA meeting, because
Absolutely.
It's the real deal, right?
It really is.
It really is. And lean into it, right? Once again, we would love it if you came to Beecon Recovery, but not everybody can come to Beecon Recovery, because if you're listening to this and you're sitting in your apartment in Kalamazoo, Michigan, you can't come here, right?
Right.
I mean, I'd love for you to get on a plane and come spend some time here, but it's just not realistic. However, is there a place in the United States of America, right? Maybe there's a few places in rural Montana, but you're going to be able to find a meeting.
Yes.
You're
going to be able to find a meeting. There's meetings everywhere in every state. They're all over.
They're everywhere,
They're
and
everywhere.
they're every day.
Yes.
And they're different times of the day. You want to go in the middle of the day, you want to go in the evening.
They're
They're everywhere.
They're all the time.
Really?
Yes.
So go find yourself. That would be a recommendation. I'm
highly recommend.
like in
yes.
the 99.999999 percentile range.
Oh, yes.
Find yourself a meeting.
Yes.
And now, when you go to that meeting, Debbie, pardon me, when you go to that meeting, now she has no idea what I'm about to say right now, right?
No, I don't.
But when you go to that meeting, Debbie, wherever it is, are they going to judge you when you get there?
Oh my gosh, absolutely not.
I didn't hear what you said. Can you say that a little bit louder?
Absolutely not.
Well, how do you? Come on, Debbie. Wait, hold on a sec. You're in Kalamazoo, Michigan right now, and you're like, wait, we're in Brigham City, Utah. How does she know that they won't judge me at this meeting in Kalamazoo, Michigan? Go.
When that newcomer walks through the door, anytime there's somebody that walks through that door, you immediately get up and you are hugged and you are greeted and you are welcomed.
Loved.
And you are loved to come in. Please come in and join us.
Why do you think that is?
Oh my gosh. I've had people say to me, you know, that the first thing, that's what they remember, is walking in and just somebody greeting them, bringing them in, come on in and sit down, you know, get a cup of coffee here, you know, and just giving them a big old hug. Like,
do you remember the time I came to your?
I do, yes.
That was a fun day. That was a Sunday, I believe, right?
Yes, it was.
What was the reason for that one?
I believe that was my 2 years.
Was it your 2 year?
Yes, I believe.
Was it your 2 year?
I think it was my 2 years.
Yeah.
I do believe so.
So one of the things you get to know about Beecon Recovery. By the way, how long have you been graduated from Beecon Recovery?
5 years.
So it's been longer than 5 years since you started this process, because you were in treatment for a minute. So you're saying you graduated 5 years ago.
Let's see. Well, no, I guess it would be, I have 5 years of, it would have been 4 years ago that I graduated.
It's still been a hot minute.
Yes.
So one of the things you get to understand about Beecon Recovery, right? So when you're in your AA meeting, right, you have a sponsor.
Yes.
Okay. Now, if I'm understanding this correctly, if you're coming to a place where I'm having a hard time, you can call that sponsor.
Oh, yes.
Right?
Oh, yes.
And that's a great thing.
Oh, yeah.
At Beecon, however, we do a lot of contacting from us to her, right? And this is what you get. And this is what if you own a facility out there, I encourage you to do this. Contact your people regularly after they've left. Of course, she's not coming to Beecon anymore.
Yeah, periodically I you guys reach out to me. How are things going?
Why do you think that is?
And because you love me, because you care. You want to know that who came through here is doing well, and that you were able to help. And that their journey is still on the right path.
Because what if it's not?
Then you're there for them to come back and say, hey, I need help again. You're still here. If you need me, I'm still here.
So one of the things that's changed from you, and I did this by accident, there's a person that you know of, right? I'm not going to tell you who it is, but you know this person. I couldn't get a hold of these guys and gals. I had 8 holdouts that I couldn't, no, nothing. So I'm like, Christmas Eve, you're going to be home. Oh yeah, I did too. And I was scared when I went and knocked on his door. And he was happy to see me, and we hugged and cried, and it was beautiful. Then he invited me in to meet his wife, who then was his girlfriend, right? Works at one of them steel places down the road. Anyways, trying to tell you who it is without telling you who it is. So his wife comes in, and they're all happy to see me. And I give her my card, and I'm like, look, call me. And she did. 3 days later, in tears, because he is going to kill somebody. Because he's been drinking and driving.
Oh.
So what we've changed, right, is now we're not just going to contact you, the person with the addiction. I want to know, and I'm not going to treat you unless you give me permission to talk to your man. Because guess what he's not going to do if you're stuck in your addiction? You might lie to me and tell me you're clean. You think he's going to...
Wow, okay.
Yeah, kind of...
Yeah.
That's what I call experiential learning, right? God told me, go knock on their doors. I did, and this is what came from it. Because, well, I mean, if you relapsed, are you going to tell me that you relapsed?
Probably not.
Probably not. Jason?
Jason.
Is he going to say she's full of shit? She, in fact, did relapse?
Oh, yes. Yes,
the spouses, the significant others, and it's costing us more money. Kind of cool, huh?
Yeah.
Isn't that fun?
Yes.
Yeah, I agree. Because now we get to talk to them. They're going to tell us the truth, right?
Yes.
And yes, Debbie, I do love you.
Thanks. I love you too.
I know you do, right? I know, and I'm so happy.
Oh, so am I.
Right? And now you're giving back because you go to these meetings. And I guarantee you, anytime you see somebody, you're reaching out and saying, you can do this, like you're doing right now.
Yes.
Anything else you'd like to share with the folks on the podcast?
I think I'm good. Life is good. I mean, just that day of, that's it. I need help. I cannot do this by myself. Just that reaching out. And then continued, that, like I said, there was days that I just would have to drive here and stay here.
Yeah. Well,
there were days that my mother, I was like I was going to work, and then I would just, like, I don't know what it was, would just come over me, like, I can't do this. Like, it's not easy, when you've lived
that way,
and it's not just, you're not just getting high sometimes, you're getting high every day, all day, not numerous times.
You're living high.
You're living high.
For 23
living
freaking
high.
years.
Living high.
Dang, dude, that's
And there
crazy.
were times that I was on my way to work. It's 4:45 in the morning, and I would drive to my mother's house. You know, the days like after I wasn't here at Beecon anymore. I would just drive, and I would go park in my mother's driveway, and she'd get up to get ready for work and see my car in her driveway, you know, and she'd be, what are you doing out here? And I'm like,
Staying
I don't
clean.
know. Like this, I just would have to go somewhere, you know, and I did what I had to do.
It was a choice.
It was a
and
choice.
I'm so glad.
Yes.
And by the way, it's a choice still.
Yes.
It takes practice. Practice, practice, practice.
Yes.
Right? Continue to practice. And yes, that's what we can leave this with is if you don't come to Beecon, go someplace. Oh, by the way, if somebody's listening and they don't, can they just go Google how do they find a meeting?
Just search for a meeting. Yep, an AA.
Is that what, so when you go to
meeting.
Google, do you go search for
Search for an AA meeting. Yep.
Just write
or
those
AA
words.
or NN meeting.
Just
yep.
write NAAA in Google word search,
Alcoholics Anonymous
and
meeting.
then just take it from there.
Yep.
Right?
Yes.
And just to make sure we're crystal clear here, there's nothing to fear, right? When you get to that meeting, right, you're going to be afraid.
Yes, you will.
You're going to be afraid,
Yes.
right? I mean,
Oh, yes.
that's the way it's going to,
Yeah.
you're going to be afraid, but when you get in that meeting, your afraid, is that a word? your afraidedness, your fear, how long does it take for that to go away when you walk in?
Seconds. Immediately.
So don't be afraid.
Yes.
Go to a meeting.
Yes.
I love you.
Love you too, Tony.
Okay.
Thanks.